Good evening and welcome to the Daily Debate Live Wednesday with Taghreed Hussein here on Nile TV International. Well, tonight we'll be tackling one of the most important issues shaping the Middle East and the African region today. We'll be talking Egypt's role in promoting peace in Gaza and ending the conflict and also achieving stability across the whole Middle East region. Egypt, as we all know, has been always in the forefront of the diplomatic efforts, balancing the complex political dynamics, the humanitarian concerns, and also the security challenges. And tonight we'll be exploring those initiatives. We'll be also talking more about the challenges faced and the opportunities for sustainable peace in Gaza, this in addition to the broader role in the Middle East at large, as well as the African continent. But before tackling this important topic, we'll be having a look at the main stories that made headlines this Wednesday evening, and starting off with the activity of Egypt's top diplomat, Foreign Minister Dr. Badr Abdel-Ati, had discussed the regional developments and ways of ensuring and easing the current tensions with his Qatari counterpart. Earlier, Abdel-Ati held phone calls with his Iranian counterpart and also with the U.S. Special Envoy for the Middle East. Abdel-Ati called for calm in order to prevent the region from sliding into further instability. The top diplomat had urged creating the necessary conditions to resume dialogue between the United States and Iran. Well, we have more top stories, but before delving further into the developments and before highlighting more Egypt's role, we are going to highlight in this report how Egypt has long stood as a cornerstone of stability and development in the whole region, in the Middle East and Africa, through balanced policies, through active mediation, and definitely through a deep commitment to dialogue. We'll watch this report and we'll be back.
Egypt continues to play a and responsible role in promoting stability, peace and development across the Middle East and the African continent. At the regional level, Egypt has been at the forefront of diplomatic efforts to contain conflicts and support political solutions. Cairo has worked actively to de-escalate tensions in Gaza, facilitate humanitarian aid and support ceasefire agreements in coordination with and international partners. Egypt also maintains continuous dialogue with regional stakeholders while supporting the Palestinian cause and peace efforts aimed at achieving a just and lasting settlement. In Libya, Egypt has supported national reconciliation, political unity, and the rebuilding of state institutions. Through diplomatic initiatives and cooperation with neighboring countries, Egypt seeks to prevent instability from spreading and promoting a unified Libyan state. In Sudan, Egypt has emphasized the importance of dialogue, national unity and humanitarian assistance while calling for a peaceful resolution that preserves Sudan's sovereignty and stability. At the African level, Egypt has strengthened its role through active participation in the African Union and regional organizations. As a strong advocate of African solutions to African problems, Egypt supports peacekeeping missions, conflict prevention mechanisms, and post-conflict reconstruction efforts. Egypt is also a major contributor to the United Nations and the African Union peacekeeping operations, with Egyptian forces being deployed in several African countries, helping to protect civilians and maintain security. In parallel, Egypt promotes stability through development and economic cooperation, major infrastructure projects, capacity building programs, and technical assistance initiatives aimed to strengthen African economies and institutions. Water security and sustainable development remain key priorities as Egypt continues to engage diplomatically on the Nile Basin cooperation, emphasizing dialogue and mutual benefit. Through balanced diplomacy, security cooperation and development partnerships, Egypt seeks to build a comprehensive approach to stability, one that combines political solutions, economic growth and regional cooperation. Today, Egypt stands as a pillar of stability in a changing region, committed to peace, dialogue and shared prosperity for the Middle East and Africa.
It's always a pleasure and honor to have with us His Excellency Ambassador Medhat Miligy, former assistant to the Foreign Minister and also member of the Egyptian Council for Foreign Affairs. Thank you so much, Mr. Ambassador, for coming.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you. Well, as we've read the main headlines, the top stories that made headlines, His Excellency Egypt's top diplomat, Dr. Badr Abdelati, discussing regional developments with his Qatari counterpart and also holding phone talks with the Iranian counterpart as well as the U.S. Special Envoy to the Middle East. So Egypt is definitely asserting the importance of peace so that we would not have any sort of sliding the region into chaos or more tension.
Exactly. Actually, Egypt understands more than anyone else the harsh penalty that could happen to the whole region if we slide into, once again, a situation of instability in the region. That's why Egypt, although we have many differences with Iran, but we understand that if anything occur, I mean a large-scale war, or even a precise war, as Mr. Trump likes to call it, precision hit to Iranian facilities, this can drag the whole region into instability, because Iran will definitely retaliate, create instability in the whole region. Egypt, from this point of view, is trying to calm the situation, and that's why, as you mentioned in your introduction, that Dr. Badr Abdelati had a phone call with her counterpart in Iran, and he is trying to find a solution and maybe a mediation also between the United States, who actually is working based on the Israeli wishes to target Iran once again. We hope that we can do something so we wouldn't reach that level. The situation could deteriorate very fast, especially with many unstable countries in the region due to the Israeli aggressions all over the area. I mean, we have already problems in Lebanon, we have problems in Syria, all of it coming because Israel is trying to annex more land into these Arab countries. So the idea of hitting Iran is also in a way to enable Israel to have a supremacy over all the countries of the region, which also Egypt doesn't want to see it happen. That's why I think that the efforts that we are deploying right now are crucial to maintain the stability of the region, especially that we are starting right now phase 2 of the peace accord and the peace agreement that was actually drafted by Mr. Trump himself.
Yeah.
So we wouldn't like to have any issue beside this issue. At least for the time being, we should not reach a level of insecurity in the region, and this would definitely lead to further escalation to the situation.
Exactly, as you've said, wisely put it, Ambassador, that it is very important that we would reach a calm, that we would not slide the region into further uncertainty. And from here comes definitely Trump's board of peace, and we all know that Egypt has accepted the invitation to join the Peace Council of Gaza out of a sense of determination of achieving stability for Gaza. So how do you see this important board, Ambassador? In what way is it changing the power dynamics of the whole region, in your opinion?
Well, I believe that there are certain realities that we have to contemplate first before getting into the peace board. First of all, the United States maintain all the keys of this board. As we all know, that President Trump himself is going to be the one who decides who gets in and who doesn't make it to be part of this peace board. We've heard about many superpowers, international superpowers. Many of them are members of permanent members of the Security Council who refused to enter or to accept the invitation of Mr. Trump, such as the United Kingdom and France and China. Many of them think that this will not lead to the peace as we wanted. And I believe that in a certain way the purpose of such a board is to reach a final peaceful settlement for the Palestinian cause. We did not hear this per se from Mr. Trump, but of the absence of violence. We all know that the absence of violence does not mean peace. And Israel also have a certain kind of a veto on this. I mean, we've heard already the Prime Minister just today talking that there will never be a Palestinian state, that he does not accept Qatari or Turkish participation in this peace mission. And so many vetoes that he put in front of President Trump, who actually, I believe, is sincerely wanting to reach a final settlement for this overdue actually, conflict in the region.
Yes.
I think that, first of all, the Palestinian has to be represented in this. It's impossible to talk about peace for the Palestinian while the Palestinians themselves are
not
absent
represented.
from this peace board. Second, the mandate of this peace board have to be more clarified. I mean, it's all based on Mr. Trump's vision, which is, I believe, a sincere and a positive one. But how are we going to implement this, especially that the relation between President Trump and Prime Minister Netanyahu is a very strong one. And I don't believe that Mr. Trump would actually force Mr. Netanyahu to do something he doesn't want. Having said that, that doesn't mean that they are both on the same wavelength. But their dispute is only a tactical, on tactical points and not on the strategy itself. Israel have always maintained the power of saying no to anything it doesn't want to happen. I mean, we've seen Israel insisting that we will not move to phase 2 unless we find the final body of the final Israeli deceased in the Gaza Strip. And they insisted on that, and Mr. Trump did not force them until they found the last body. If we want to compare, that's a very good thing, but we have over 700 Palestinian bodies kept by the Israeli occupation forces. Nobody is talking about those. This is the first angle of that the United States is taking on this position. We are talking about the prisoners. Nobody is talking about around 10,000 Palestinian prisoners in the Israeli dungeons so far. We have talking about several other issues that only the Israeli point of view matters. Israel, even when we are talking about the first phase of the peace accord or the peace agreement, Israel did not comply with it. I mean, we have registered 1,400 violations to this ceasefire. And the United States did not do anything about it. We have over 450 Palestinian deceased. So what kind of ceasefire are we talking about? And not to mention, of course, the casualties, and not mention the continuous raid and aggression on the Palestinians. Let's not forget one thing that is very important, that Israel so far is maintaining around 55% of the Gaza Strip, and from what we know from the strategy, that it never gives back anything it has taken. I mean, it never gave back the Lebanese land it has taken by force. It never gave back the Syrian land that it taken by force. Has annexed more land, and I am afraid that even with the Gaza Strip, the 55%, that it won't be easy to withdraw the Israeli forces from the yellow line to the red line as previously mentioned in the peace.
Yes, definitely. There are definitely goals for the establishment of this board. In what way do you think, Ambassador, this board is quite different from the other peace initiatives that has been there? We've seen, of course, other peace initiatives on the table in order to end the conflict in Gaza. But in what way do you think the board is different?
Well, the board is different because it has a certain guarantee from President Trump himself. This is the strongest point. Having said that, there is a very important point that we have to mention here. Why did Egypt join this? Why did Egypt accept?
Why did Egypt accept the invitation to join the board
because
of peace?
Egypt cannot spare any efforts to reach peace for the Palestinian people, and it would not intervene and it would not take part in order to reach that agreement. But make no mistake, Egypt is looking for a final peace for the region. Egypt is looking for a Palestinian state on the borders of 1967 with East Jerusalem as capital. And this is a position that has been mentioned by His Excellency the President of the Republic himself, Abdel Fattah al-Sisi, and all the Egyptian officials all along.
Yes.
We have to understand that this is what will really secure Israel. But Israel, unfortunately, they want to keep the land and the peace at the same time, which is it's an impossible equation. They cannot get both of them at the same time.
Yeah. In what way, Ambassador, do you think this important board of peace would influence the U.S. foreign policy in itself?
Well, I think that it all will derive from the political will of President Trump and how far he wants to go. As I said earlier, Mr. Trump holds all the key to this peace board. And he is the one who is he's the only power capable of forcing Israel to comply with the agreement and to comply with the requirements of achieving such a peace. And if President Trump, I mean, we have to say it in a blunt way, if President Trump do not really force Israel to accept the terms that he himself has put, then there is no hope for reaching a durable peace in the region. It's going to be, as we are seeing right now, I mean, there is sporadic attacks and aggressions all over the region from Israel, and nobody is actually taking serious measures because Israel have stopped its genocide. But this does not mean that we have restored peace. Is far from being reached as long as there is no political horizon for the Palestinian to look for.
Yes.
This is the main issue. The Palestinian needs to find that at the end they will reach their independent state.
They will find a way out and achieve their independence.
Exactly. If they don't find this, then all what happened before will be repeated. And even if we manage, which is actually logically impossible, to actually take all the weapons of all the groups, all the militias, all the how can I say it? I mean, all the resistance movements that are in Gaza, because the absence of a political horizon, they will not stop. The Palestinian will not stop, as stipulated in the Charter of the United Nations, that many wants to see it disappear because there is a new body in the city, in the town, which is the new peace proposal by President Trump that has enlarged not just to the Palestinian issue, but it has been enlarged to dominate the whole peace process in the world. And this is a very dangerous thing because it minimizes the role of the United Nations, role that we all accepted and played along with. So now there is a lot of things, and unfortunately, and maybe fortunately, it's all based on the vision of one person, which is President Trump.
Yeah. Do you think the board of peace aligns with Trump's America First agenda?
Not to that point, because actually America First agenda is a real and serious claim by President Trump and by his administration, except when it comes to Israel. Then Israel comes first. This is what we've seen. I'm not judging, but this is the reality of things. I mean, I'm pretty sure that the relations between the United States and the Arab countries are more important than the relations with only Israel. Nevertheless, the relation with Israel dominates all anything that Israel doesn't want to see. And I'm not very optimistic because, especially after the speech of Mr. Netanyahu today, I mean, he is not trying to even calm the situation. On the contrary, he is provoking everyone.
And take it on the rise.
When he insisted that there will never be a Palestinian state, then what peace are we talking about? Without a creation of a Palestinian state, then we will not have peace, because the Palestinian, as any other people in the world, will not let go before they get their own independence and
their own independent state with East Jerusalem as its capital.
Exactly.
Ambassador, if we're talking about the challenges, definitely the peace board is facing also challenges internationally. What sort of challenges does the peace board face internationally, and how far, in your opinion?
Well, the point is that, as I said before, since it's based only on the vision of President Trump, then it's related only to the President Trump presence and willingness to enforce it. And if President Trump doesn't choose to enforce this or that point, then we will not reach where we want to go. And the international community does not accept, and we see many of actually the real allies of the United States, such as the United Kingdom, such as France, Germany. I mean, we heard lately in Davos, I mean, all of them criticizing, including Canada as well, which is the direct neighbor of the United States. All of them are criticizing this new vision that actually does not take into consideration the international law as stipulated. No, actually, the vision of President Trump. And he himself has said it clearly. I do not base myself on the international law, but only on my vision and what I see fit. And this is the real problem, that the vision of one person and his desires cannot be enough in order to establish peace in the world. We heard and we have seen already how the situation is critical between President Trump and Europe at large because of the Greenland issue and Denmark. As you know, I served personally in Denmark as a chief of mission, and I know how the Danes are related to Greenland, and they consider it an integral part of their territory. And now Mr. Trump wants to seize it. And it's funny to see that even Mr. Putin is not making fun, but actually he said, yes, well, I might consider looking into Greenland if the United States will not step in. And this is actually, it deepened further the relation or the conflict between the United States and Europe. And of course this gives a lot of contemplation to see how the situation is. I mean, from Europe, that has always supported the United States in every step, whether we are talking, I mean, even before that, when we were talking about the Iraqi war, when we talk about Libya, when we were talking about many other interference from the American administration with the situation now, we see how far they are from each other now, between Europe and the United States, and I think this is not good for the regional and the world stability in general.
Egypt has been sparing, as you've said, Excellency, no effort in order to see a lasting peace, a durable peace in the region. Well, how can we ensure that peace agreements are implemented and that this peace is sustainable amidst all the challenges that you've said and also the challenges before the peace board itself?
Well, I think that the role of the Arab countries, and especially the one of Egypt, is to explain in a very clear manner how this could actually endanger the whole region. Luckily, we have a very good relation between President Sisi and President Trump. And President Trump himself, he praised President Sisi for his efforts.
And for his leadership.
Yeah. Exactly. Whether to keep Egypt safe from all the turmoil around it. I mean, look at the map. I mean, we have south of Egypt, there are problems, east, west, even north when it comes to the immigration and the illicit immigration to Europe. And all. Egypt, nevertheless, is able to maintain its borders safe until this moment, and we hope forever. But of course, this would necessitate that the United States would work along with us to understand our concerns in a very clear manner so that we can establish peace. If President Trump wants really to establish peace in the region, he has to listen to President Sisi and understands the real concerns that we are talking about. This is a very crucial thing, and I think this is the only thing that we can do, because at the end of the day, as I mentioned earlier, President Trump and the American administration are holding all the keys to the security, not just in the Middle East, but in the world. We've seen what they have done. I just mentioned Greenland and other areas. I mean,
Yes.
we still have to look into southeast of Asia,
Yes.
also where the United States is present and wants to prevent China from doing anything, and so on. So the idea of having all this in the hands of the United States is a very dangerous idea, but at the same time, if there is the political will, then we can reach a peace, and a durable peace, not just in the Middle East, but in the world.
Definitely, Ambassador, talking about Egypt's role in Egyptian diplomacy that has been victorious actually in mediation, not only in mediation but also in working beyond to prevent conflicts from spreading and achieving a sense of having no stability in the whole region. So this prevention of conflicts from spreading, Egypt's playing also a regional role regarding peace and working, as Your Excellency have mentioned, with the Arab countries, with the Arab League, with the United Nations. So if we have like a flashback of the Egyptian diplomacy and the role played by the Egyptian diplomacy in order to contain the situation regionally and also beyond Gaza, not only Gaza.
Well, I think that, I mean, if we look at the Egyptian efforts, and
Libya,
how they
Yemen,
were, exactly,
Sudan.
that's what I wanted to say.
Yes.
I mean, Egypt is the only power in the region and internationally who has good relations with every player in the region. We have good relations with most of the players, I mean, even including Israel, unfortunately. But I'm saying this because Israel, at the end of the day, is sabotaging the Egyptian efforts. And that's why I say unfortunately. But if we look at Sudan, Egypt is a major player, and it is trying to stabilize the situation.
Yes, addressing cross-border security threats.
Exactly, not just that, but I mean the motto that we've been working with, which is that we have to find inner solution for the inner problems, that there should not be any interference from external forces. We've said this in Libya, we've said this in Sudan. We don't want proxy wars in the region. We've said this when it came to even Iran, as we just mentioned at the beginning of this episode, that
yes.
Egypt have tried to reach an agreement between the United States and Iran. I mean, all over the place, Egypt is an important player, and it is trusted by everyone in the region, that it does not have ulterior motives. Egypt wants just to stabilize the region, because the effect of this and the impact of this are not just on Egypt but on all the region, and that's why we are trying to work with every player in the area, in the region, internationally and nationally, in order to stabilize the situation and to reach agreements that can be durable, not just technical ceasefires or just to stop for a certain phase, but to stop totally. And this is what has been our policy in the Palestinian territory. That's why we are maintaining good relations also with Hamas, in order to convince it that the role for weaponry and for war is now not the time, and they have to stop, and they have to contemplate a new role within a new Palestinian unity. And this is another issue that we also have to mention, that the role that Egypt played in order to bring the Palestinian parties together, between the Palestinian Authority on one hand and the resistance movements on the other hand.
Yes,
so
Egyptian contribution, Ambassador, since we're talking beyond Gaza, so we do have more than one important point concerning Egypt undertaking all the measures necessary in order to prevent any sort of conflicts in the African countries, and also our collaboration with the African Union in that respect. And you've served Your
yes,
Excellency in Cameroon and more than one African country.
Exactly,
so
yes.
you know quite well the important role that has been played by Egypt also in peacekeeping troops and maintaining security in Africa.
Well, in Cameroon I was also ambassador to Central African Republic. And there
we're very proud of you, Ambassador,
Thank
and
you
of
very
all
much.
your efforts.
It's very kind of you. But the idea that I want to say is how praised the Egyptian peace.
I mean, you're seeing your hats on. You're seeing the scene.
Exactly. That's what I want to mention, because when
Yes.
I had several meetings with the president of
the African president
of the Central African Republic,
Yes.
Mr. Touadera,
Yeah.
and he highly spoke about the Egyptian military forces that are there as peacekeeping forces, and how their role is crucial in maintaining peace in Central African Republic. And we all know, of course, the Egyptian role in Somalia, which is very important to keep Somalia as one land, because Somalia now, we have the separatists of Somaliland who wants to take part of the land and to actually spread turmoil in the region. And we've seen what Ethiopia have done by trying to cut a deal with Somaliland, and of course this doesn't come free. Actually, they help them to maintain this separatist status. So did Israel as well. So actually Egypt is trying to remedy every conflict in Africa in order to keep Africa safe from this proxy war that has been taking place and ravaging the whole continent.
Yeah. What sort of lessons can the African countries learn from Egypt's diplomacy, in your opinion, and Egypt's peacekeeping efforts?
You mentioned it yourself a few minutes ago when you said African solutions for African problems. And keeping this...
We as Africans are the best ones to remedy our own causes.
Exactly. And I have seen this firsthand. I traveled in several countries recently due to my work and so on. So I have traveled in many African countries, and all of them have confidence in the role of Egypt. They know that Egypt is always having this motto, as I call it, which is the win-win. Even when we are talking about business and other issues, other relations with the African countries, it's always how we can transfer technology, how we can build capacity within the African countries. We are not like any country who is coming to just seize the resources of Africa for their own benefit, leaving the Africa. No, Egypt is not trying to do that. That's why we are welcome. And I'm telling you, I've traveled almost half of the African countries, and in every country they are all welcoming any Egyptian delegation that goes there. Maybe I could seize the opportunity to mention that I wish that all the private sector of Egypt who is planning to expand into Africa would do so, because they would welcome you, they would want you, because they know that you are not coming here for your own benefit, but always we have the win-win situation where we can both
Africans, and we are really proud to
Of course we are. But let's not forget something. I mean, for several decades we have neglected Africa, and this was not in the benefit of Egypt.
But we started building after the chairmanship, of course, of Egypt, also of the African Union. It has been a very
even before that, ever since
year.
Mr. President took power in 2014, and one of his priorities, strategic priorities, was to build strong and deeper relations with the
African. Was the first ever president to visit certain African countries.
Exactly. And he is highly viewed in Africa as a leader of the region, simply because we don't have any ulterior motives. We have our mottos that I mentioned, and we are working with the Africans in order to grow together, to develop ourselves together. And this is one of the best things that Egypt has done recently, in the recent years.
Yes. How can we ensure that our peace initiatives remain effective in the long term? What is important, Ambassador, is that we talk sustainability. We need a durable and a sustainable peace to be prevailing.
This is what I just mentioned a few minutes ago, which is the win-win. When Africans, for instance, will feel that Egypt is coming not just to benefit from its resources, but to build capacity, but to help them how to manage their own wealth in their own benefit, for their own benefit, then they will trust us, and then it will be durable, and the relations will be even more durable, because they know that Egypt can help reach there. I believe very much personally in South-South cooperation, and I believe very much in how we can, with the African countries, we can all move forward together. And this is what Africa needs. African leaders who works for the benefit of Africa and for the well-being of Africa. And this,
to achieve the Africa that we aspire.
Exactly. And this is what we are trying to do as the government, the public sector, and also the private sector, all of us, we want to see Africa growing, because Africa is one of the wealthiest continent in the world. But nevertheless, I think it needs more work, and this is where Egypt, with all its might, and I can say this, I mean, Egypt have developed itself tremendously in the last decade. And we can see the results right now, right before our eyes, when we see the GDP of Egypt, how it is growing, and how our exports are growing, because we managed to turn around and try to do, and we are doing this while the whole region around us, as I mentioned before, is in turmoil. And this is actually, I consider it not far from being a miracle, that we manage not just to keep ourselves safe, but to grow and to develop our country and to help to develop others as well. And this is what is going to give sustainability to the relation and to the African countries on the other hand.
Definitely. I thank you so much, Your Excellency Ambassador Medhat Miligy, who is the former Assistant Foreign Minister and member of the Egyptian Council for Foreign Affairs, for joining us on the Daily Debate Live tonight.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ambassador. Tonight we explored Egypt's pivotal role in promoting peace in Gaza, the Middle East and Africa, from the mediation and diplomacy to the regional initiatives and also public engagement. We find that Egypt's efforts is always highlighting the importance of leadership, dialogue, as well as persistence in achieving stability. Many thanks for watching. I'm Taghreed Hussein, and that was the Daily Debate for tonight.